Hey folks, Dan here from BeAGameCharacter.com. We are back again with another episode of Q&A Tuesday. We got some questions today, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in. First off, the question from last week that I asked you was, what do you think of the current cinematic universes for the comic book movies, the DC and Marvel movies and stuff like that? So we'll see what people have to say about that. First off, we have Alpha Core, who did not ask a question, but just said, I could tell you're going to reach whatever goals you set. You're very disciplined. Keep grinding. Thank you. Moving on, we have BenRex777, who says, Hello, Dan. I never watch mainstream animes. The most famous animes I watch are probably Sword Art Online, Attack on Titan, and Full Metal Alchemist. I think those are mainstream animes. I'm just saying, I think they're a little mainstream. I mean, maybe not super, but definitely a bit mainstream, but that's fine. Anyway, so I don't know the persons you mentioned. That's cool. You don't have to. I don't really go to the cinema, so I can't say much about those movies, but my favorite movie of that kind is the first Iron Man movie. You know what? You could skip all the other ones and watch just that over and over again. I mean, it was really, really, really good. The first Iron Man movie, definitely one of the best of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even now, even after all the other ones have come out. So I would say if that movie hadn't happened, I don't think any of the other stuff that we see going on would be happening right now. At least not on the scale that it is. Or at least as successfully as it was. And now to the questions for the next week. Who did motivate you to start and continue to do martial arts? And does your entire family do martial arts? Well, the first person to motivate me to do martial arts was Donatello from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was my favorite. When I started martial arts, I was like 3.5 years old. And legit, I wanted to do it because I loved Ninja Turtles. And I was like, yes. And my parents were like, okay, cool. And they took me to a dojo. It's no longer there anymore, but took me there, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And I just kind of clicked with me. Does my entire family do martial arts? Well, my entire birth nuclear family, like my mom, dad, brother, and sister, none of them do martial arts. My brother did it for a little while, but he didn't really dig it. As far as my current family, like my wife and my son, yes, my entire family does martial arts. My wife does karate. I met her in karate, actually. And then my son has started doing it, and he's starting to really enjoy it too. So, yeah, I guess in one way my entire family does do martial arts, and in the other way my family does not. So, excellent questions. And Benny says, have a nice week, Benny. Thank you, Benny. I hope you have a fantastic week as well. Next up, Your Name says, Yo, Dan, for what I think of comic book movies, they're making too many movies about the same people. Oh, yes, right? I'm tired of watching Batman and Superman remakes. Oh, my God. I don't need to hear Batman's origin story ever again. I don't think anybody does. I'm pretty sure everybody in the world knows Batman's deal, like what happened with Batman. And Superman, too, just saying. So, yeah, I agree. And there's so many more characters out there that we could be taking advantage of that we're not. But that's part of the reason why I'm so excited for Black Panther and Doctor Strange and stuff like that. So, thanks for the advice. I decided to take a week off, and I feel more refreshed and stronger, so thank you for that. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, giving your body time to heal, very important. But you can't just work out constantly. Like, you need to have a period where you stop. And technically speaking, your muscle fibers will recuperate to, like, usually around, like, 80% over 48 hours or so. But it takes a long time for them to get back to 100% is what they've discovered. So when you're continually working out, they're never really getting back to 100% again yet. Which is why in any weightlifting program you see what's called a deload week, which is where they continue to do the motions that they do. Like, their deadlifts and their squats and their bench press and all that stuff. But all at significantly lower weights. So it's basically just kind of to keep the body engaged, but to give the muscles time to recover from the trauma that you're inducing upon them. Because that's what exercise is. You're traumatizing your muscles. You're damaging them so they come back stronger, but you have to give them time to come back. So yes, that resting period can really help, and I'm glad it helped you. I guess my new question for you is, what do you think of all the fake martial arts and scammers in the industry? And what should I look out for so I can avoid them? Thanks, Dan. You're welcome. So, it's tough. Like, there's obviously a lot of bull out there. There's fun names for it. There's like Bullshido. Like, my personal favorite is McDojo. I wrote up a blog post about this, about how to recognize and avoid McDojos. So I will link that in the description when I post this video. So go ahead and check that out. The link's going to be right down below, but I wrote a post about it over on the blog, and as far as I'm concerned, all the rules still hold true. For the most part, good rules of thumb to stick by are they do live practice, like sparring, and not just sparring where like you're waving your hands at each other, but sparring where like people actually like get hit. Not like knocked out hit necessarily. I'm not talking you have to step into a cage to test your martial arts, although it's not a bad idea. But like you need to be able to do actual like sparring, kickboxing, whatever, something where you're making contact and you're seeing if stuff works. So that's one indicator. Another indicator is if someone won't reveal their lineage to you. Like if the instructor that you're talking to gets real like fussy and antsy when you're starting to ask about their credentials, you know, how long they've been studying for, who they studied under, stuff like that, usually a warning flag there too. There's more. So I wrote a whole post about it. I'll put it in the links in the description below, and you can go check that out. So thank you. Excellent question. I'm glad you brought it up just because it's something I covered before, and it's something that everybody should hear. Okay, so thank you, your name. We are moving on now to Nicholas Prince. Nicholas Prince says, thanks for the thought-out and detailed answer. You're welcome. I love hearing about other martial arts experiences with different styles and viewpoints. For the comic question, I personally love how Marvel films are going. I'd like to see more kind-hearted superheroes done by Disney on the big screen, while Netflix has been able to take the darker route. The darker route. I think showing different sides of comics, of how comics can be, will help get more and more people reading. Absolutely. And I think DC's taking the exact wrong route for this. Like, their TV shows are super camp, and, I mean, granted, their Arrow's a little dark, I guess, you know, but the DC's TV shows, super campy and funny. DC's movies, super uber dark, grim, blah, 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 you know. So I think Marvel's got the much better option for that, because the two different mediums work much better. You want a relatively light-hearted cinematic experience because it's a short, condensed amount of time. Like, you want to have that, like, you know, something happens, conflict resolution, all in one package without feeling like you're depressed the whole time. Whereas on a TV show, as, like, Game of Thrones and other various series have demonstrated, like, you can go super dark because you got people hooked. They want to know, like, oh my gosh, what happens next? How could things get better from here? So I think Marvel is taking the right route and DC is taking the wrong. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that, Nicholas. Thank you for go ahead and weighing in on that. And next time, ask a question. I want to help you out more. Come on, you should ask me like what my favorite food is. It's sushi, by the way. No, macaroni and cheese. Oh shit. Anyway, ask questions, guys. I want to answer them. I want to help you out. But no, that's fine. Thank you, Nicholas, for leaving your input, and I agree with you completely. Moving on. Oh, wait. Oh, I just saw up here. There's another Nicholas Prince comment up here. He does have a question. Nicholas, you have a question. Thank you. I do have an exercise-related question if you have the time. I do have the time. That's why I do this. I tend to have an all-or-nothing approach to most things, and I find working out I get burnt out because of this. I do full-body style for 3 or so months, get bored, then do bro splits for a few months, get bored, do powerlifting, so on and so forth. Question would be, do you think it would be detrimental to my overall gains by switching so much? Is it not such a big deal, seeing as I'm still doing some sort of resistance training? Also, I would like to hear about how you've worked through things like this. Sorry for the long-winded writing. I've been following you for a few years now, and I'm very inspired by your passion. Well, thank you. That means a lot. In answer to your question, I, personally, have had similar issues in the past. So, there's a couple of routes to go here. First of all, you mentioned, like, damaging your gains. I assume by gains you mean getting bigger muscles, in which case I would say yes, you're not following the optimal path for getting, you know, getting built, get swole. Okay. All right. So you're not quite getting there yet because you're switching up so much. Switching up is not inherently bad necessarily, but switching up is in, like, sticking with the same similar program that you're doing, but working in new exercises, which might help you out. So what I like to do now is I'll do like usually like 8 week splits where for the first, I'll work out hard for, 8 weeks, and then I'll do a deload week. And then at the end of that deload week, I'll come back again to a similar workout to what I was doing before, but I might swap out some exercises for other similar exercises that work the same muscle groups. Like just different variants. Like I'll go from front squats, maybe I'll switch to back squats. I'm sorry, other way. I'm doing back squats right now. Maybe I'll switch to front squats. If I'm doing deadlifts, maybe I'll go ahead, I'll work in some sumo, or I'll work in Romanian deadlifts or something like that. Accessory work, I'll switch from dips, I'll start doing skull crushers. Instead of just doing normal butterflies, I'll do like decline butterflies. Do incline bench presses instead of regular bench presses. So what I would recommend is sticking to similar formats. Pick your goal. Because you got lots of options. You could be lifting straight for size, in which case you're basically going to be doing very hypertrophy related things. You could do, I'm just looking to get strong. So you could do like a 5x5 or a 5-through-1 program if you're lifting. You could say I'm lifting for, functional strength, endurance, body weight mechanics, in which case you're going to do mostly body weight training. And you can learn a whole bunch of really cool skills that are also workouts in that realm. So that can kind of introduce the variety. So I understand the getting bored thing. The way I think to counter that is to pick a goal and lay out a program for that goal, like what you want to go for, getting big, getting strong, endurance, skills, whatever, and then figure out sequences of exercises that you can put together that you can switch up every 4 to 8 weeks to kind of keep yourself from getting bored, but still work the same muscles so you're not losing your efficiency. So, and if you have questions about that in particular, please go ahead and ask them in this video's comment section. I'd be happy to help you out. So, thank you, Nicholas. I'm sorry I chastised you for not asking a question because you did. And it was a good one, too. Finally, last question. We are moving on to Vincent Madden. Hello, Vincent. Vincent's a regular. Vincent hangs out on the blog. Vincent asks questions on the YouTube video all the time. He's in the forums. He's on the Facebook page. So, Vincent, you are A+ material today, sir. Says, hello, Dan. I'm loving both cinematic universes at the moment, but for a very different reasons. I enjoy the darkness of DC, but I don't think it could exist if there weren't the lighter MCU to balance the market out. There we are. That's what we were just talking about. So, yeah. My question is, if you could have any cybernetic enhancement you could imagine, what would it be? All right, I'm going to assume we're counting out flying. Flying doesn't count for this. Cybernetic wings, probably not a thing. So, any cybernetic enhancement, if I could pick anything, I think also obviously like a total body cybernetic enhancement is also probably out, right? So, I would say what I would pick is I'd like to be able to just connect to like the internet, like with my brain, like just plug right into the internet and be able to do the Matrix thing, just like download skill sets and all kinds of cool stuff like right into my brain. Be like, oh, I need to know how to fly a helicopter now. And be like, okay, now I can fly a helicopter. Like that's what I want to be able to do. That if I had to pick, if that counts as a cybernetic enhancement, I would pick a cybernetic brain enhancement that allows me to just instantly absorb, process, and learn new skills. Like that would be super cool. I would totally dig that. If that's still cheating, I don't know what's within the realm of possibility here or not. If that's still cheating, then I think beyond that, I think I would pick optic cybernetic enhancements, like the ability to have like supervision, like zoom in, see real far away, take pictures with my eyes, see infrared or, stuff like that. Some sort of just eye enhancement, like give myself like super powered vision and all kinds of stuff like that. So I think that would be my second option. But first option would definitely be plug brain into internet database and download skills, a la The Matrix. So excellent question. That was fun. I haven't thought about that. That's cool. So thank you, Vincent. I appreciated that question quite a bit. So that brings us to the end of this episode of Q&A Tuesday. Your question for next week. Oh crap! I thought of this already. What was it? I remember. Who, in your opinion, and you guys, if you want to fight about this in the comments, you can, but be nice, all right? Who, in your opinion, is the strongest character in, like, anime, comics, like, whatever. And fictional universe. What is the strongest fictional character? Goku, Superman, the Hulk. If you say the Hulk, you're silly. Uh, Saitama, One Punch Man. So who is the strongest character in the fictional world and human fiction? So let me know who you think the strongest is. You can argue about it if you want. Just be nice. And I'll definitely have my own opinions on this, don't worry. So that's your question to answer in the comments below when you ask me another question as well. So let me know who you think the strongest is and ask me a question to answer next week. Until then, as always, remember, live boldly, change the world, and continue to be awesome. Bye-bye.